Hello, my loyal listeners. This is your evil black bunny speaking, and I'm never doing the holders again. Holy crap! I hate them. I thought doing a couple of them in a row would maybe, I don't know, help me understand why people like them, and no, I still think they're stupid, repetitive, and dull. And, well, today I'm going to get back into the swing of things by reading you a few classic creepypastas. And what better way to get back into the swing of things than with a pasta bites? God, I miss doing good things. I'm so glad to be back. Alright, now without any further rambling, sit back, relax, turn off the lights, and ignore the biting at your ankles. They just want to play. The Cabin. There was a hunter in the woods who, after a long day hunting, was in the middle of an immense forest. It was getting dark, and having lost his bearings, he decided to head in one direction until he was clear of the increasingly oppressive foliage. After what seemed like hours, he came across a cabin in a small clearing. Realizing how dark it had grown, he decided to see if he could stay for the night. He approached and found the door ajar. Nobody was inside. The hunter flopped down on the single bed, deciding to explain himself to the owner in the morning. As he looked around the inside of the cabin, he was surprised to see the walls adorned with several portraits, all painted in incredible detail. Without exception, they appeared to be staring down at him, their features twisted into looks of hatred and malice. Staring back, he grew increasingly uncomfortable. Making a concerted effort to ignore the many hateful faces, he turned to face the wall, and exhausted, he fell into a restless sleep. The next morning, the hunter awoke. He turned, blinking in unexpected sunlight. Looking up, he discovered that the cabin had no portraits, only windows. White with red. A man went to a hotel and walked up to the front desk to check in. The woman at the desk gave him his key and told him that, on the way to his room, there was a door with no number that was locked, and no one was allowed in there. Especially, no one should look inside the room under any circumstances. So he followed the instructions of the woman at the front desk, going straight to his room and going to bed. The next night, his curiosity would not leave him alone about the room with no number on the door. He walked down the hall to the door and tried the handle. Sure enough, it was locked. He bent down and looked through the wide keyhole. Cold air passed through it, chilling his eye. What he saw was a hotel bedroom, like his, and in the corner was a woman whose skin was completely white. She was leaning her head against the wall, facing away from the door. He stared in confusion for a while. He almost knocked on the door out of curiosity, but decided not to. This disinclination saved his life. He crept away from the door and walked back to his room. The next day, he returned to the door and looked through the wide keyhole. This time, all he saw was redness. He couldn't make anything out besides a distinct red color, unmoving. Perhaps the inhabitants of the room knew he was spying the night before and had blocked the keyhole with something red. At this point, he decided to consult the woman at the front desk for information. She sighed and said, "Did you look through the keyhole?" The man told her that he had, and she said, "Well, I might as well tell you the story. A long time ago, a man murdered his wife in that room, and her ghost haunts it. But these people were not ordinary. They were white all over, except for their eyes, which were red." Baby doll. In rural southern Illinois, a toy company began selling realistic baby dolls to expectant mothers. But apparently, after the mother had her child, the toy baby would start crying. Eventually, the rocking motion advertised to calm it down wouldn't work, and you couldn't get it to stop without shaking it. Eventually, when it started crying, the parent would have to beat it, and the beatings and thrashings would have to get harder and harder to get it to be quiet. The only thing that seemed to shut the baby doll up permanently was to bash its head against the wall to destroy whatever mechanism triggered the crying. On more than one occasion, though, neighbors called the authorities to report child abuse. And when the police arrived, they found the bloody remains of infants smeared across the walls and the floor. In most cases, the mother couldn't understand why the police were there. She just got rid of the stupid doll, as she rocked a baby-shaped bundle in her arms. Polybius. In Portland, Oregon, in 1981, an unheard-of new arcade game appeared in several suburbs, something of a rarity at that time. This game was called Polybius. The game proved to be incredibly popular to the point of addiction, and queues formed around the machines, quickly followed by clusters of visits from Men in Black. Rather than the usual marketing data collected by company visitors to arcade machines, they collected some unknown data, allegedly testing responses to the psychoactive machines. The players themselves suffered from a series of unpleasant side effects: amnesia, insomnia, nightmares, night terrors, and suicide appearing as having been caused by the game in various versions of the legend. Some players stopped playing video games, while it is reported that one became an anti-gaming activist. Bad dream.
Daddy, I had a bad dream.
You blink your eyes and pull up on your elbows. Your clock glows red in the darkness. It is 3:32 a.m. Do you want to climb into bed and tell me about it?
No, Daddy.
The oddness of the situation wakes you up more fully. You can barely make out your daughter's pale form in the darkness of your room. Why not, sweetie?
Because in my dream, when I told you about the dream, the thing wearing Mommy's skin sat up.
For a moment, you feel paralyzed. You cannot take your eyes off of your daughter. The covers behind you begin to shift. Ah, God, it feels good to do real pastas again. I promise, guys, I'm not going to do any more holders. They took a lot out of me. I know this is a shorter pasta bites than what you were used to, but can you blame me? This has been another installment of Pasta Bites. Thank you for tuning in, and remember, they just want to play.